In my last video, I talked about 4 secrets to wealth mindset that give you some practical tips and tricks that you can really use to begin to improve your relationship with money and work on your mindset. And so in this video, I actually have 4 more secrets about how you can start to develop a wealth mindset. And I may put a bonus tip in at the end. So stick around for that and we'll see if I put that in or not. But these are all secrets that you can use right now, today, wherever you are in your financial journey, to begin to improve your financial situation, because so much about money comes down to how we're thinking about money, what our money narratives are, how our parents taught us about money, or the people in our community who were important to us growing up. And so there's so much about our mindset towards money that is directly shaped by just messages that we absorbed as children when we were like little sponges and just absorbing all of that. And so maybe those messages no longer serve you very well and you're not very happy with where you are financially. You want to change, but you're not sure how. And so these 4 secrets will really help you begin right now to start implementing some things that will improve your relationship with money and improve your mindset towards money and towards being wealthy. Hello, I'm Sarah Edens. I'm a finance coach, author, and wealth mindset researcher. Here on my channel, we talk about wealth mindset, we talk about finance skills. And so, if you're interested in learning how to come and unlock your inner millionaire, please come and subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And you can always come and follow me as well on Instagram, where I post more frequent updates and useful tips and tricks to help you continue to build your financial skills. And if you're a returning viewer, I'm so happy to have you here. And if you're a new viewer, then welcome. And I have all these different playlists that you can watch and catch up on if you're just building your financial skills. So whether you want to learn about credit use, budgeting, if you're saving for your first home, or you're working on your money mindset, I have playlists about all of that you can check out after this video. So let's get started and jump right into the first secret about working on your wealth mindset and what goes into a wealth mindset. The first secret is to take full responsibility for your current financial situation. And this is really key, not very much fun maybe, but super, super important if you want to change your situation and change your picture. The trick with being able to have an abundance mindset towards money is not to wait around trying to manifest abundance in your life and trying to attract money. I'm not saying some of those things don't work, but it's not necessarily super helpful to just sit around doing that, because let's be honest, money doesn't just come to us. We have to go looking for it. We have to create wealth for ourselves. We have to create prosperity in our own lives. And as we get out there doing that more, sure, we will experience more and more prosperity. But if you're stuck in a situation where you feel like all you can do is sit around and be trying to do your vision boards, which I'm not saying those are bad at all, because those can be super helpful and I'd highly encourage that. But maybe you've done vision boards and you've done your manifesting journal and you've thought through the things that you want for yourself, but now you're stuck and not sure where to go next. This is where you go. So begin with taking ownership of where you are right now in your financial journey. So maybe you don't have a lot of finance skills, but you're wanting to build more. Maybe you don't have a lot of money, but you're wanting to grow your wealth and start to make more money. Maybe you're the first person in your family to ever want to be wealthy and no one else in your family understands you. And so you're feeling kind of stuck that way and perhaps a little bit isolated because maybe you don't have anyone to talk to about your goals and your dreams for yourself and what you want for yourself. And that's very common, by the way, very common problem to have, because a lot of times, other people might be comfortable where they are and they don't want to see you change. And so they're not necessarily super comfortable with your change. They might be jealous of if you're more successful than them or more prosperous than them. They might start getting jealous and say little snide things to try to hold you back. So just know if that's happening to you as you're on your wealth journey, that's super common. And don't take it personally, and don't be hard on those people for being that way, because a lot of that is just driven by fear and also insecurity on their part. But just remember, it's not you, it's them and their money mindset. And this is what you're here today learning, how to improve your mindset. And I'd pat yourself on the back, because that's really wonderful that you're here working on that. So again, just take full responsibility for where you are right now, rather than say, let's say you're not in a very good financial situation right now, and let's say you have a bunch of debt that you ran up, or you're in a job that has no hope of ever making very good money or whatever. And rather than sit around and be a victim and have kind of what's called a victim mindset, where you're blaming other people or you're blaming circumstances and you're not taking ownership and saying, okay, what can I control? You might be sitting around saying, oh, it's everyone else's fault that I can't do better, or oh my gosh, the economy is so bad, I'll never do better, or I came from a poor family, I'm never going to do better. And so all of these narratives that we tell ourselves, A, they're not true, and B, they can keep us incredibly stuck, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching wealth mindset here on my channel, because it's one thing to be financially successful. It's another thing to have the mindset that it takes to get financially successful, and then also be able to enjoy your wealth once you do have it. Because you'll often see people who don't have a very good, healthy mindset towards money, and they might be very successful and be unable to spend their money to make their life better. They can't enjoy their money. It's just there, but they can't enjoy it, which I personally think is tragic, to have money and, more money than you need, and not either enjoy it yourself or use it to help others in your community, right? So it's a two-step process. It's making the money, and then it's also being able to enjoy it and put it to good use once it's come into your life because of all your hard work that you've put in and all of your mindset skills that you've built. So take ownership, just take stock of the situation, acknowledge it for what it is. Don't judge yourself harshly for where you are. If you're not where you want to be, it's okay. But that's the first place to start, is just to look at where you are right now and say, hey, I'm not going to blame anybody else for my situation. I'm not going to blame my parents. I'm not going to blame the government. I'm not going to blame the economy. I'm not going to blame, fill in the blank. I'm going to just take ownership of where this is and know that it's down to me to make it better if it's going to get better. No one else is going to fix this for you. And you can get help with it, obviously. You can hire a financial coach, you can hire a financial advisor, you can hire investment advisors. There's so many different professionals out there in the industry who will be very happy to help you come up with specifics and game plans and improve your financial situation. So don't blame yourself, don't beat yourself up, don't be afraid to reach out for help. But by the same token, really say, okay, I'm no longer going to blame other people or blame my circumstances for why I'm here where I am. I'm just going to do what I can to improve it, right? So that's the first secret there. The second one is to start working on overcoming your fear of risk, your fear of failure, and your fear of losing money. This is a big one. So this really comes down to being willing to try new things and maybe fail, and then try something else and maybe fail at that. And it might be painful and it might be embarrassing. And all those people who are watching you from the peanut gallery, who were already being a little bit snide when you started to kind of level up your finances in your life, will now start getting on the megaphone and say, you really didn't know what you were doing. Why are you trying this? Why are you discontent with the way things are? Why can't you be happy like us? And so it can be thankless being in a challenging situation like that, being an ambitious person, wanting more for yourself, and then having the people in the peanut gallery who, let's be honest, probably are people you're very close to and you really care about and value their opinion on most things. It might be your parents, it might be family members, it could be your spouse, unfortunately, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. But a lot of times those people, their opinion really does matter to us, but perhaps in this context, we kind of have to tune them out a little bit and just keep going with our plan of what we want for ourselves. So some of it is being able to deal with kind of other people and the way that they view you when you're out there figuring it all out. And some of it is just realizing that every little step along the way is not going to be a linear process. It's going to be a little bit forward, and then you might take a step back, and then you go a little bit forward, and you might take a step back, but each time you're getting a little bit further than you were before. And so when you look back in 5 years or 10 years, you'll look back and be amazed at the progress that you've made, and you'll be so proud of yourself. But you have to just kind of give it some time and not give up. There's a wonderful quote from Ray Dalio, who's a famous hedge fund investor or a hedge fund manager at Bridgewater. He's a billionaire and someone that I really admire and respect. But he has a wonderful quote that he said, pain plus progress, or how does this go? Pain plus reflection equals progress. And that is wonderful. And I think about that every time I run into a situation that didn't go too well. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that did not go well. What was I thinking? How did I miss that? I just screwed that up. And I think about that. I'm like, okay, this is a painful situation right now because I had a little setback. I'm going to reflect on it and see what I can learn from this situation, right? Because failure is just a learning experience. It's not bad. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person or that you're flawed or cursed or anything like that. All it means is that you're trying something new. You're outside of your comfort zone, which is where personal growth unfortunately has to happen. Let's be honest, how many of us have really grown as a person from experiences that were comfortable and experiences that didn't have us scared a little bit and didn't have our heart rate up a little bit and didn't have us sweating a little bit. Those are the experiences, though, that you challenge yourself to do. You do it, you get through it, and you look back and you say, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of myself. I am so proud of myself. I had that little win. I had that little milestone. And so getting to the other side of that fear of risk and failure, to the point where you're seeing that taking the risks no one else is willing to take, doing the things no one else is willing to do, or few people are willing to do, is what's going to make you successful financially. And so having that mindset is super important, of saying, I'm absolutely going to fail at some point along this journey. That's okay. I'll just sit with those feelings and that pain. I will reflect on that pain, and then I'll realize that experience together will lead me to my next step and to progressing a little bit further along my journey, or maybe changing gears a little bit, or changing trajectory, or reaching out for help, or reaching out for a mentor and advice from a mentor, whatever it takes. But those are those experiences where you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. You're sweating a little bit, you're nervous, you're anxious, you might be like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? And then once you get on the other side, you're like, oh yeah, I did that. Go me. And that's a good place to get to. And it won't happen instantly. Then if you've been out there outside of your comfort zone for a while, you get really used to being there, and that'll get comfortable, and then you got to push yourself into something else new. So remember that anytime you're outside of your comfort zone, it will eventually become comfortable. Most likely. There's some stuff that will never be comfortable. Like, I know for me, I will have some things that are just never going to feel good if I have to do them. I will never enjoy them, and I'm just there doing it because I have to for some reason. But other things, they might have felt a little bit intimidating initially, and then you get into them and you get into a groove and you get into flow, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel so bad, and it's your new comfort zone. So that's how we grow as people. It's how we mature, and it's how we level up our life, right? Is by getting out there, putting ourselves out there, learning new skills, reaching out for help, and being willing and okay with making sometimes epic mistakes that might involve losing money, and being okay with losing money. And that's really a key thing, honestly, is saying, I will lose money at some point along the way, whether you're new to investing and new to growing your wealth that way. And I'd highly recommend that you reach out and work with a professional if you're brand new, because that's going to save you making some rookie mistakes. But just say, hey, investing is all about taking risk and running the risk of losing some money, and I'm okay with that. And I'll reach out for help if I need it, right? And even starting a new business, how many businesses have I had that haven't gone anywhere and cost me money to start and went nowhere and made me no money and never got any traction? I think I've had 4. Is that right? I was thinking about this last night ahead of this video. I think I've had 4 different businesses that have really gone nowhere, and several of them I spent 2-3 years trying to get them to take off and investing in them and investing in my skill sets and working really diligently. They never went anywhere. So it's just the nature of entrepreneurship as well, that sometimes you'll have an idea that you will think is like the most brilliant idea that anyone's ever come up with, and no one else will, or maybe 3 people will, and one of them is your mom. So it's just one of those things with entrepreneurship. If you're an entrepreneur as well, you know what I'm talking about here. But just taking that and say, hey, okay, that business didn't go so well, but I'll start another one, and maybe I need to shift industries and go back and get some new skills, and we'll try this. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm so happy I did, because I wouldn't be here today if I was still stuck in one of those other businesses or had given up on entrepreneurship altogether and just gone back to, working a day job that, would probably have paid the bills, but wasn't what I was looking to do with teaching and entrepreneurship and finance education. So that's the next step, is really, start working on that, overcoming your fear of risk and failure, because that's going to get you where you need to go long term. The third secret is to work on building your professional network. And this is a really good one that has gotten much easier thanks to everyone being on LinkedIn now. It is a wonderful place to build your professional network. I would highly recommend that you get a LinkedIn account if you don't already. There's no need to pay for the premium account, in my opinion. I have a premium account right now. I may or may not renew that next year when it comes up for renewal, because I can't say that that's been the best use of my money this year. But just get on LinkedIn, do a professional looking headshot that you can do. I mean, the iPhone cameras now are like so incredible. All you need to do is have your partner, your spouse, or a friend get some pictures of you dressed in something semi-professional looking that's, appropriate for your industry you're in, and just get started that way. And have a little, if you can use Canva, I'll put a link in the description box to Canva. I use Canva constantly for everything. It's a wonderful design tool, but you can design a little cute personalized LinkedIn banner on Canva, put your academic experience in there, put your work experience in there, and then just get started with connecting with other people in your industry, connecting with people in your field, just connecting with interesting people. And I would suggest that what you do is, when you're first getting started, just start by following people. And then a lot of times those people reach back out to you. Like if you haven't met them in person, just follow them. And then a lot of times those people will reach back out to you and say, hey, I saw you follow me. Thank you so much. Would love to connect. And that saves you a lot of hassle, because that way you're not being mistaken for a marketer when you're in trying to connect with people you've never met. And a lot of these people, especially the bigger accounts, they have hundreds of requests every single day of people that want to connect with them. And a lot of those people are marketers, and so, or spam accounts. Unfortunately, people struggle with that on LinkedIn some. And so that's really good to just get started, but just start working on your professional network and have a professional looking account yourself on LinkedIn, and just share things you're learning, or share things you've learned from mistakes you've made in the past, or share books you're reading that are relevant to your industry, that kind of thing. So that's a really good thing. You can also look into if there's professional networks in your area. There's so many different professional organizations, no matter what industry you're in. So look around for different professional organizations that might have meetups, that might have conferences, seminars. Those kind of things are all really good. But there's the saying, and I'm sure you've heard this before, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's very, very true, because what that is getting at is that you're tapping into someone else's network. You're tapping into the resources they have. You're tapping into the knowledge base that they have. And so that is really good. We're not meant to operate in a vacuum. And I think that networking in some ways got a little bit tougher during the pandemic, but in other ways it got easier because everybody was suddenly working online. So I feel like, especially LinkedIn, got a huge influx of professionals who are now all over there, and it's kind of like the new place to hang out. And so just, continue to be on there, maybe post a couple times a week, whatever you have time for, and just you'll just gradually build your following and your connections as you go. And that is a really good place. And then you'll hear about opportunities for networking, or you'll hear about opportunities for conferences or online courses or internships or whatever in your industry as well. So great resource. Can't recommend LinkedIn highly enough if you're working on your wealth mindset and you're working on your kind of leveling up your career, or maybe changing careers too, because that's actually where I started when I was looking at getting into finance. I just got on LinkedIn and started following a lot of people in the finance sector and just saw, what does their day-to-day life look? What are the struggles that they have with their businesses? What are the things they like about their businesses? What are the things they don't like? Can I see myself in this space? And that's really good because you can kind of tap into that as well and be able to see if you can see yourself there. And so that's a wonderful resource as well. So definitely start working on that and put together your nice polished LinkedIn profile with your nice bio picture with nice clothes, good lighting, looking decent. Get your Canva banner designed, and that's going to go a long way towards encouraging people to connect with you too, because they'll look at your profile, and then no matter how many followers you do or don't have, they'll say, oh, this is someone who takes their career seriously. And that's what you're wanting to project with your LinkedIn profile. And so as you level up, that's a great place to start there. And the fourth secret, as you're working on your wealth mindset, is to play the long game. And this is true in business. This is true in life. This is especially true when it comes to leveling up your finances. You aren't looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. So just put that out of your mind. There is not, it's so rare that people have they win the lottery or they inherit a huge inheritance from a relative they didn't know they had, right? Very unusual. In fact, it's an interesting statistic, but somewhere around 88% of millionaires here in the US are self-made and they aren't inheriting their money. So it's a high percentage of those successful people who are actually just out there doing what you're doing right now, figuring out how to grow their financial skills, grow their business skills, grow their professional network. And so just let go of the get rich quick schemes and realize that you are in this for the long game, and that's what's going to make you successful, is that you're going to focus on looking at the big picture in your financial life. You're going to be making long-term plans like we were talking about earlier. Obviously you want to set short and medium-term goals, but you're looking at your long-term goal. You're thinking about yourself, your future self, right? When you're 80, maybe 90, maybe 100. I mean, with all this longevity research and health stuff they're doing, who knows how long we're going to be here. We might be very long-lived people here. And the thing about that is you will need a lot more money a lot longer than what traditional retirement people, experts will tell you, right? And so you may not be looking at retiring at 65 or 62 or 63. You might be looking at retiring much later and then needing money to support you much longer in your life. So super great points to think about. And so you're here wherever you're starting now going, okay, I don't want my 80-year-old self to be, in food insecurity or worried about where, he or she's going to live. I don't want to have to stress about these things. I want to know that I'm taken care of and that things are going to be okay. And so that is the trick, is really being able to take that long view of things and be able to see the big picture. And that is super helpful then to be able to reel yourself back in from maybe living beyond your means, living with too much debt, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to maybe just going on too many shopping sprees. And I've got a video that I'll link to in the description box that's all about how to not have buyer's remorse anymore and to reel in that impulse shopping. So I'll link to that as well. But that is something that you will be able to say, hey, I have these longer term goals for myself and my family, my kids, whatever. And so I really want to make sure that I'm taking care of those and I'm prioritizing those. And you might be the only person that is prioritizing those goals and is thinking about their future self that far out. And that's fine. Don't expect the people around you to necessarily get this. Don't expect them to be doing it themselves. Don't be hard on them if they're not. Everyone has their individual choice about how they do this. So don't feel like you have to go out and convert everyone around you to making sure they've got enough for retirement, for example. example. But it's just one of these things where you are on that pathway. Good for you. And say, I'm not just thinking about what I want next week or next month, or living paycheck to paycheck, or living beyond my means and having a lot of debt to service a lot of consumer type purchases, like cars that are going to impress the neighbors or somebody, technically. Like, who? Why am I buying these things to impress someone that I maybe don't even know that well, or don't really need to impress them, or maybe they're not impressed. But I'm focusing on making sure that I'm taking care of myself rather than keeping up with other people and their priorities and the way they want to live their lives, because the way we live our lives is very much kind of an outflow of where our headspace is, where our mindset is. So your money mindset is shifting, which is fantastic. And I'm so happy that you're here learning these skills and growing. It's going to pay off so well for you. You are going to have such a nicer retirement and old age because of this. Your children will have so many more opportunities and educational options because you're thinking ahead. Maybe you're going to create generational wealth, and your grandkids are going to have wonderful opportunities as well, thanks to what you're doing right here, right now, working on your wealth mindset and your finance skills. So good job on that. And then, should we do a bonus? I think we'll do a bonus. Okay. Are you ready for this? All right. So the bonus tip for Wealth Mindset Secrets, and to wrap up today's video, is start to think like a philanthropist. And I know you might be saying, but Sarah, I have only just started making money. How am I going, maybe I don't have enough to live on myself. How can I start thinking like a philanthropist? I'm not here in a position to be donating, millions of dollars to charity, or I hardly have any money to give away right now. That's okay. That's fine. What I'm saying with this point is, visualize yourself at that stage where you have that kind of wealth, where you have so much money and you've created so much prosperity for yourself that you don't even know what to do with it all. And your CPA is telling you, hey, we need to do some charitable donations here. Which causes do you want to support? And so one fun exercise that you can do is just to start listing out all the causes that you'd like to support. It might be in your church, it might be your community, it might be one of these international relief organizations, it might be a local homeless shelter, it might be an animal rescue group, it might be a group that works with wildlife rescue. I mean, on and on and on. Works with disadvantaged children, works with women who are coming out of domestic violence situations, on and on and on, right? And so make a list of who, if you were a billionaire or a multimillionaire, make a list of which charities you would support, and go start following them on Instagram or whatever social media you like best, because that's a fun way to start getting a feel for their vibe. Maybe there's fundraisers you can go to that are fun, and you can do some fun networking while also doing good in your community that way. And then just start with where you are right now financially, and start making giving a regular monthly line item in your budget. Not because out of guilt or out of compulsion or because I'm telling you to. Obviously, if this doesn't resonate with you, don't do it. Just like everything else I teach here, I want you to take away the things that you find most helpful and leave the rest. And that's completely up to you. But really think about who you would donate to, and then maybe pick one of those charities or one cause or one organization, and just donate a little bit every month. It might be $25, it might be $15, it might be $5, but set that up on a monthly recurring donation, which most of these organizations will let you do, is to be able to set up a monthly recurring donation that you can do, because that is just a wonderful way that you can give back to the community. And then also just start to think about your money as something that comes into you through all the hard work that you're doing, all the leveling up of your skill sets that you're doing, all of the investment in yourself and your business or in your professional life, your job, wherever you're working. And that's coming into you, and then you are using that money to improve your life and your quality of life, take care of yourself, take care of those you love in your life, and then start taking care of the community, start helping those who are less fortunate than you, and maybe people who, through no fault of their own whatsoever, fell on very hard times. It happens to all of us at one point or another. most of us fall on some kind of financial hardship, and very often it's just out of our hands. It is just something that just happens to us. And so it's always really wonderful to then be not only the giver of that help, but be able to be the recipient of that help if you fall on hard times as well, and be able to reach out for help in your community if you have a hard time as well, and know that you've been part of that process of giving back as you're able to. And if you truly don't have any money right now to donate in your budget, what you can think about doing is maybe donate gently used items that you're not using anymore to your local thrift store that sells those items, and it helps people in your community. Or you can think about donating your time. If you have a skill set that you can share with someone else, then spend some time volunteering. If you have time and that's your thing that you'd like to do with your time, you can do that for sure. There's so many different ways to give back to our community, right? I mean, even little things like if you've got an elderly neighbor, checking in on them every once in a while. There's so many non-monetary ways to think of yourself as a philanthropist and think about someone who's making your community and your world a better place. So that is my bonus tip for you, is start thinking like a philanthropist. And as you have money and you're able to, then start making giving to whatever cause is best in line with your values and kind of where your heart's at right now. Then start making like a little donation every month to that cause, and that's going to really start giving you that sense of, hey, yes, I do have enough money not only to meet my needs, but to meet the needs of these charities that I care about so deeply, and really establish yourself in that role as a philanthropist. You do not need to be in a point right now where you donate millions of dollars. You just donate a little bit, because if everybody donated a little bit, honestly, we might be in a situation where the charities would be like, hey, we've got so much money. This is fantastic. Look at all these other things we can do now. But instead, because a lot of people don't donate and don't give that way, a lot of times they're only kept going by grants or a few wealthy donors or federal funds or whatever. And so I think it's kind of down to all of us to make sure that those groups that are working so hard on the benefit of those less fortunate or causes, that they're able to have the funds that they need to continue to do that and continue to make our communities wonderful places to be, even for the less fortunate and even for those who aren't in the same position we are. So that's a really important point, and my fifth and final secret for how you can work on your wealth mindset. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it until the very end. And thank you for showing support for my channel by subscribing, by liking my videos, or you can unlike my videos, and give them a thumbs down if you need to. But whatever comments you'd like to post to share with the community, I'd love to see what your other thoughts are on wealth mindset. If you have other tips and tricks that are helpful that you'd like to share with the rest of us, I would love to see those as well. And again, please come follow me over on Instagram, and I post much more frequent updates there than I do on YouTube, so I'd love to have you join me there as well. And I will see you in my next video.